because he hasn't got the power right up with that little group. Harvey still holding on there. And already Andy Rouse, we know, has got a problem. That misfire has seen him out of the race and leaves now with an absolutely commanding lead. Win Percy. Percy, a flash as the unburnt fuel comes out through the exhaust there from the turbocharger. On goes the power. The Listerine Sierra going absolutely superbly. And out now towards Island into this very, very long hairpin, a long looping hairpin, slightly banked. Stayed down the bottom of the groove, almost reminiscent of the carousel at the old Nürburgring. Not quite so sharp. Fulston's once again. Identical line, lap after lap. And a little bit of a dry line emerging, but nothing really that could, in any way, shape or form, make Win Percy feel confident about lapping other cars. But a marvellous performance here on slick tyres, running away from everybody else who's on rain tyres. And Percy proving conclusively that he's got the legs of everybody. Here's the Rover, drifting a bit. Harvey slinging the tail out there. Carvel, identical coming in. Doesn't get the tail quite so far out coming out. You can hear the wheel spin there as he feeds the power on. The Appleyard sponsored car staying with the Estelle car. And through Knickerbrook, Harvey there using all the road, right to the white line every time. Tim Harvey's season this year has been a very good one indeed. He started, of course, in Formula Ford and had a very, very big accident last year, which saw some damage to his feet, and now is concerning himself basically with saloon car racing. But he's been the big discovery of saloon car racing in 1987 and has already proved conclusively he can stay with the best. But the Rover is still competitive, in spite of what everybody said about the Cosworths having things all their own way. But this Cosworth is having things all its own way. It's still Win Percy with the Listerine car. On go the brakes, and much more confident now. I think Win knows exactly how much grip he's got. And if anything, he's going quicker and quicker in spite of the fact that he has got, as we've said, slick tyres on a very wet, tricky surface. Feeding the power on, not using too much power to get the tail out of line. Down the hill, Knickerbrook, out to the edge, but not quite. So he could, I think, if he wanted to, go quite a bit faster. He's not using all the road by any manner of means. And here's Mike Newman, and he's caught up with O'Brien with the Holden. And the Holden is under pressure from the 635 BMW. Now, the 635 has always had good traction. It's not had enough power. And ahead of him, this is his personal goal. That's the third place man. The other Rover going well. David Carvel with Jeff Allen to take over that car. So Harvey and Carvel with the Rovers in second and third place. What lots in lock there from Jim Harvey. All behind the conquering Sierra up ahead. Here's Newman. He's lost a little bit of ground on power, the power side going up Clay Hill, but he's gaining it under braking, he's gaining it round the corners, and he's driving a very, very good race indeed. That's number 3 Rover, the Scarborough car, which he will share with Loudon Labbott. And Frank Sittner falling back in that M3 BMW, which doesn't seem, I think, to have a very good chance of success today. Neither, for that matter, does our old friend Dennis the Menace Leach, who you saw on the back of that Cruppers. Percy now is beginning to look at Lappery and comes up, takes a good close look here at the Toyota. Up through on the inside of him. Very smooth manoeuvre. The sort of thing that you expect. And that was the Jerry Marshall driven car. As diving down the hill comes the Sierra in towards Knickerbrook once more. banging a little bit there with the waste gate up the hill. And the Rover in a similar place, you can see, really having to dig in a little bit there. I think the remarkable demonstration that we've had in this race has been that, in spite of the fact that the conditions have been so wet, no one has done anything very silly. This is a really good battle that we've got on our hands now, with Mike Newman beginning to close up and really put in a remarkable performance in the 635. And oh, we've got some damage on the front of the big Holden. The Holden there has got a damaged front spoiler. Mike O'Brien has obviously done something somewhere which we didn't see off camera. He's through in front of the Scarborough car. And Scarborough there trying to get by, and that was closing the door very firmly, but I can't see that he's going to get away with that for long. Front spoiler hanging off, Scarborough tucked in behind him there. And Scarborough on the grass, whoops, that was taking it right to the limit on that adverse camber corner. Mike Newman with the BMW coming out of Old Hall. And that car going very, very well. And here's this interesting follow my leader situation between Tiff Needell and Chris Hodgetts. They will come into the pits together because it's just a question of stepping out of one car into another, as we've suggested. And already Hodgetts has clinched the championship, the British Touring Car Championship, the Dunlop British Touring Car Championship for 1987. A remarkable performance with tremendous reliability. Tiff Needell giving us a driver's eye view of Hodgetts in front of him. Onto that little bit of straight. And Tiff Needell is undoing the straps, so they're obviously going to make their pit stop now. Now they're both on identical tyres. Hodgetts will be doing exactly the same thing up ahead. And these two now obviously heading for the pits. Yes, there's the indicator out. Chris Hodgetts going into the pits, Needell following him in. It's a question of step out of one car, step into another. And here they come. And they've got tyres out. They've got tyres out for the car that Needell is getting out of. Needell into his car, doing up the straps. That's the car that Hodgetts was driving, and that's still on rain tyres. And while all that's going on, and he's strapping himself in, Hodgetts has got into the other car, but they're changing that onto dries. Now this could make life quite interesting, and of course as far as Hodgetts is concerned, with a championship won, he doesn't have to win here, but my goodness me, he'd like to. Chris Hodgetts then on slick tyres going out. In comes the Holden Blackburn, Les Blackburn as he's rather known, Roger Saunders to take over the R5, and we're going to get obviously now a spate of pit stops. Here's Mike Newman, and Mike Newman is going quicker and quicker, and the Estelle car is not getting away from him, and Newman has caught right up with the Estelle car. Now I wonder whether that means that they've got a problem. Yes, they have. Well, their pit stop is coming up, but they seem definitely to be slowing. And that's still Tim Harvey at the wheel. But it doesn't seem to be handling very well. Let alone the gearbox that we thought was chattering away there, it really doesn't seem to be handling very well at all. And in fact, the steering wheel kicking back a little bit. I wonder whether they've got a front suspension problem. It looks to me as if that's probably what they've done. They may very well have loosened the car off a little bit while it was very wet. And because they loosed it off a little bit, it's now becoming very difficult to drive as the race speed has actually gone up a little bit because the track is drying out. And Harvey is not having a very comfortable ride, and you can see that Newman has got well away from him now. All in the space of one lap, he's gone way out into the distance, almost disappearing from view. There he is going through Knickerbrook. Here's Harvey going into Knickerbrook. And Newman on his way up Clay Hill. So the Rover that was in second place has now fallen back to third as we're in the midst of all the pit stops. And Newman's car is going superbly in these conditions. and certainly now is going to have its best finish that it's had this year. Up to second place, and that's quite a surprise. In fact, more than a surprise, it's amazing that this has happened in a race of this type with so many competitive cars, and the Rovers we thought would certainly be a tremendous handful here. Well, past the pits, he's not going in this time, which is quite surprising. So let's have a look at the pit action. This is Jeff Allen taking over the David Carvel car, and they've not prepared themselves particularly well for the pit stop here because they've only got one air hammer. Jeff Allen, who's done very little this season at all, sets off, spins the wheel. Here's the Estelle car. Here's Harvey coming in now, and David Leslie to take over. And they are certainly looking at those front struts. They're looking at those front struts. I think what they did, they softened the suspension at the front there, and now of course they're going to harden it off again as the track's begun to dry out. Off comes rain tyre. On will go a slick, and it's a long stop too for Frank Sittner, whose face says it all. Mike Smith, girlfriend Sarah in the background there. Well, neither of them too happy about the fact that they've got a problem in the high rev range there, but this is a long stop for the Estelle car, and Harvey, I think, is looking pretty disappointed. David Leslie in the Estelle car then about to go out onto the circuit. A bit of trouble fastening that bonnet catch on that side. It's done, and away goes David Leslie in the Estelle Rover as in comes the Volkswagen. This is the Demon Tweak car. Bickley, the White House overalls, takes over from the veteran Alan Minshaw, Mr. Demon Tweaks himself. That was the BMW going back out again after a long stop. He's way back now. There's a little Volkswagen. Here is the Whiffen Hathaway Escort Turbo. Whiffen out, Hathaway in. And it's the Estelle car back in. The Estelle car back in. And also in as well, this is the Scarborough Abbott car. Abbott now at the wheel of that. But the Estelle car has a problem. But no problem here for Wyn Percy, who is still soldiering on. Very much in charge of the situation, and has yet, of course, to make his pit stop. This has been a copybook race, and it looks definitely as if we're going to get the first win for the Listerine Sierra. Oh, a little bit of a moment there as he struck a patch of water when he got the power down. But Wyn Percy has driven superbly, and all Graham Good has got to do is to take over the car and take it on to what is going to be a very, very good tonic for the Listerine team, who have worked so hard out of the hairpin. Accelerating away, done this lap after lap, and coming up onto the tail of the Letchworth Rover, so much quicker, absolutely confident, lasts past him, and is overtaken again. Now I wonder why. Wyn Percy's car sounding very sick. That sounds like a transmission problem. Wyn Percy has got a transmission problem. The Listerine car, which has totally dominated this race, is out of it, and we have a new leader, and this is the leader. It's number 10, it's the Mike Newman car, which crept up on everybody. An absolutely superb drive here for the Mike Newman entered car, which really has gone and shown everybody that the BMW 635, which hasn't had a win in the British Championship since I know not when, is in with a chance of overall victory. Changeover of driver to Robert Speake, while Dennis Leach leaps out and into his car. Taking over that one is Carl Jones. Demon Tweaks on the windscreen there. In comes the John Dooley Alpha. Number 31 for Rob Kirby to take over. That's been a good steady run. The Alpha 75 has not shone in the British Championship this year, which is a great tragedy because one of the great enthusiasts for saloon car racing has not therefore had a chance to show just how well he can go in the shape of John Dooley. Here's the BMW out again. And that looks as if we've got a return to the race, albeit some considerable way back, by the Isdell car once more. And every picture tells a story. Mike Newman now has the anxious wait to see whether or not that car can stay out in the hands of the new driver. Out goes Carl Jones, out goes the Alpha, Kirby at the wheel of that. And look at Wyn Percy's face, that says it all, so does Graham Goods. That car out of the race. And a really unfortunate end to a superb drive by Wyn Percy, who totally dominated that race. I can't hear what he's saying, but there you go, or something to that effect. And back in comes the BMW again. And that really has had a pretty poor day, and by the look of it, Frank is thinking seriously of putting that into the paddock. So Robert Speake in the 635, BMW in the lead, and nothing that Gary Brabham can do, going faster and faster with the big Holden there is going to make any difference at all, because he's got too much distance to make up.